The regular Galaxy S23 has totally been overshadowed by the latest Ultra model, but is this yet another brilliant flagship from Samsung, or $800 sounds like too much for a light revamp? Let's inspect! I'm already sick of big smartphones with big price tags and very big promises. So here's the Galaxy S23, which, considering the 2023 standards for size of a smartphone, is considered to be rather small, but it also comes with very big promises and bigger price than the predecessing generation. But at the same time, while it costs $400 less than the S23 Ultra, it promises to deliver pretty much identical performance. True or not? Which are the strengths? Which are the weaknesses? How does the camera perform? What about the battery? And generally, everything you need to know about it in the next few minutes. Galaxy S23 is the latest masterpiece by Samsung and one of the most advanced and polished devices they've ever created. For sure, right now, this is the only rather small-sized smartphone with that much computing power, because in terms of processor, storage, RAM, performance and so on, it's no worse than the S23 Ultra. Practically right now, the only similarly sized good phone is Acer's Zenfone 9, but it has last year's Snapdragon and not as good camera stack. It's funny how years ago Samsung used to troll Apple for ditching the 3.5mm jack and even thoroughly purged all the traces about this online. Then they trolled Apple for giving up on the charger, and now almost feels like unpacking an Apple iPhone, just not as cool though. There's nothing too intriguing about the unboxing, it's rather boring, just like the colors that you can choose from, but certainly premium feeling. There's an upgrade in terms of materials, with Gorilla Victus 2 covering the display and the frame being made by armored aluminium. Although the cameras look aesthetically better, the new layout on the back is something I do not appreciate, because it collects more dust and I feel like the lenses are more exposed, therefore vulnerable. On an $800 phone, I'd always have a good case for protection anyway. There is IP68 water resistance, but don't push it to the limits, just in case. This time, instead of telling you about the tech specs, I'm gonna note down what is the same or similar to last year's S22. While the SoC is brand new, Samsung tend to keep various components from last year. Same display size, same resolution, same maximum refresh rate, same amount of RAM, same generation of the Type-C port, the wire charging is still 25 watts, camera setup is also identical, all the three shooters on the back match last year's 2022 hardware. Well, this whole thing hardly qualifies as a serious upgrade over the predecessing generation, and here I totally agree to what Osmo comments under the first picture that I took of the S23 and posted on Instagram, the fact that in the past few years, hardware development of smartphones slows down, but the prices still continue to go up, and S23 is no stranger to this tradition. But I think for some of the decisions that Samsung made, there are some very good justifications. For instance, the camera, while in terms of hardware it's almost identical to what we get out of the S22, they approach the software development here with a whole year of software experience, which is not to be ignored because more than 50% of the magic that happens with photos is because of good software optimizations. Additionally, Snapdragon 8 Generation 2 is famous for fantastic AI performance, so you could expect better results when it comes to photos and videos as compared to the older generations. Thing is that most people wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a photo captured with S22 and with S23. What I find criminal about this new generation is the fact that Samsung reused the fast charging technology from S22 and you count only on 25-watt charging, which is, trust me, slow and annoying. On the other hand, we have 200 mAh more in terms of battery capacity, and combined with all the software optimizations, it's probably 50% better in terms of results than my previous daily driver, Google Pixel 7, so in terms of battery, that is solid. Now, if there is one thing which was far better than expected, that's the display. It makes almost every other phone look bad compared to that. Brightness is great, maximum auto brightness is crazy strong, and it's by far the best display that I've ever used on a compact smartphone. If adaptive refresh rate is selected, it can go up to 120 Hz. It's also going to keep it down to 24 Hz in most of the time when the phone is not used. There is no 10 or 12-bit color depth, but at this size, it might be unnecessarily loading on top of the price. Overall, if you don't mind the 6.1-inch display size, gaming is quite pleasing, the phone is super responsive, animations are tuned to perfection, no stuttering, no dropped frames. At the time I work on this video, there is no other phone on the market which feels that snappy. Exactly as it should be for the price niche. For the camera performance, I rather have mixed feelings. As a starter, it is very good, but at no point of time it convinced me that it is any better than the Google Pixel 7 camera, and the Google Pixel 7 costs a lot less than the S23. The image sensor is a tad smaller than Pixel 7's primary one, and should there be dark areas in whatever you film, there's notable increase of noise. While you record videos, you're pretty much going to feel the same way, and you're also going to notice that Samsung tend to use aggressive noise reduction, which steals from the details of the footage. OIS is also not on par with other phones, and the electronic support also brings some additional artifacts. Daytime photos are superb, processing of images happens almost instantaneously. It's not as heavy processing as Google tend to make for their portraits, for instance. Most notable difference you're going to notice with low-light photography, where the Pixel 7 nails it and has a lot more details. On the other hand, S23's camera app is amazing, full of features and has dedicated pro modes for both photos and videos. The ability to record in 24 FPS for both 1080p and 4K makes Samsung devices quite unique because most other Android devices offer only recording in 30 frames per second. Samsung also have done excellent job keeping the color science and sharpness across the different sensors being the same, so when you zoom in or out, it's gonna feel smooth and natural. See, I wish I could say that the camera performance is extraordinarily good. The truth is that it's just very good, and personally I don't feel that it matches the price tag, and even worse, I cannot justify the price increase of the S23 line, especially knowing that Samsung reused a lot of last year's equipment. Here's a sample with the front camera, and know that if the video looks a little choppy, it's because I'm working on a 24 frames per second timeline, and here we're stuck at 30 FPS. Stabilization is good, and as for the microphone and the overall image quality, I expect you to tell me in the comments below. I'd like to share with you some more things about the battery life because so far it has been exceeding my expectations, and as already mentioned, it's almost 50% better than what I usually get out of the Pixel 7, which has stock-ish Android, and here we have some sort of bloatware. I think what really contributes to the good battery endurance is the fact that Snapdragon 8 Generation 2 is very battery-friendly system on a chip. On the other hand, the display is so good that even at low brightness it's well visible under most conditions, but the lower the brightness, the greater the battery life, and standby times are amazing. Just make sure you don't have too many apps in the background, and I think Samsung help you with killing some of those which are not necessary. Charging is a bit disappointing though. Just 25-watt wired charging on an $800 flagship is upsetting. Even budget phones like Poco X5 that costs 1/3 of that price can do better and has power adapter included. Sure, Samsung make a lot of marketing about being environmentally responsible, but we know that the truth stands somewhere else. Brilliant speakers, I still can't believe this kind of sound comes out of a smartphone. Excellent SIM card connectivity, the phone is equipped with the latest wireless communication standards, even Wi-Fi 6E, which is present. You can even manage 2 eSIMs, that's pretty nice, and S23 continues to use Samsung's native dialer, which is not bad, but also not great. In fact, this whole bloat pack copying all the Google apps is very annoying. Think of something that Google have designed and hey, Samsung has an alternative, a worse one. Even the Galaxy Store, where tons of apps are accessible, but apparently many of them with regional restrictions. It's true that I've always preferred stockish Android, but One UI 5.1 is so annoying about certain features that it's really challenging to get to like it, and I often considered going back to the Pixel experience. True, you get at least 4 years of regular updates, something that Samsung are exceptionally good about, but there are annoying areas. Like this behavior with Android 13, where it shows icons only on the lock screen by default, and you have to tap in order to expand it. It's fixable, and a huge thanks to Ned who helped me figuring out how to do that, because you have to go and select the Wallpaper and Style section and follow this Apple-like interface. Man, that's crazy. The worst out of all is the fingerprint scanner, because it is a fiasco. Add a screen protector and it's almost never gonna work. It's the least responsive implementation I've had on a daily driver for the past 2 years, and I've switched between like a dozen of smartphones. On the other hand, if you like the software, it certainly manages to keep most of the well-known functions, and turns out that inside Galaxy Store there are some handy apps, especially for customization, if they happen to work in your area, of course. So in my list with the drawbacks, the major complaint is the lack of innovation. This could have easily been called 22 SE or something. We should note the not too good low-light photography performance, the slow so-called fast charging, and the price, because this phone is unnecessarily expensive. To summarize everything, this smartphone shines because of good camera performance, excellent battery endurance, the overall premium feeling, and this amazing display. It disappoints about the fingerprint scanner, some of the software decisions, and I very much disliked One UI 5.1. You can notice that I'm not even using the default launcher. I usually prefer Nova Launcher anyway, but if you like the Samsung ecosystem, this easily could turn into your favorite smartphone. The fact is that it's now more expensive than ever, and if you already own the S22 or even the S21, I can't point to too many reasons that are going to make you upgrade. Still, I think Samsung managed to squeeze a little bit out of everything and pack it so that they can offer the best performing, compact-sized flagship of 2023. Do you agree with me or not? Maybe we can carry on the conversation in the comment section below the video. As usual, link to the product, more information about how you can support the channel. And by the way, you can start by subscribing right now. You're gonna find it in the video description. Thank you very much for watching this review. I hope it was fun to watch. And in case of questions, you know how to reach out. Take some good care, enjoy life, and I'll see you in the next episode. That's gonna sound awkward, but I've made a promise. So I need to tell you how to read Samsung reversed in my native language and tell you what the meaning of the words is. Gnusmas. And it translates to something like disgusting grease. Happy now?